Y'all, guys, I just spent 30 minutes recording this video only to realize that my OBS wasn't recording. I am shocked and appalled, kind of sad. Oh my gosh, I felt like it was going really good. And here I am just really talking to myself, really talking to myself. Okay, well, hey, y'all. Second time's a charm. Welcome in. Let me make sure. Yep, OBS is recording. Welcome in. Today we are doing another career tiny home in The Sims 4. We are in the the only interior decorator. Interior decorating comes with the Dream Home Decorator pack, which I have to say I really, really like that game pack. I feel like there's a lot of bang for your buck. It's a great pack, has a lot of good things that really work well together and give you a lot of options. They have the sectional couch, which is so great. I use it all the time. I don't use it in this home, but it's a really good one. Because I love this game pack so much, I decided to go ahead and stick to base game, Dream Home Decorator, and I threw in a little mix of Growing Together because I wanted the windows. While I go back and forth on the windows, I just want to give you an idea of what this is. So for a while now, I've had this series where I'm creating tiny homes in The Sims 4. Tiny homes comes with tiny living, and that is also a really great game pack. But with tiny living came these tiny homes, and there are different tiers, and they have a multitude of perks. But with this tiny home, it is a small home, a tier 3. So you're going to get to feel fine all the time, where your happy, inspired, and focused buffs last longer, as well as lower bills. So those are two really great items. There are a lot more in smaller tiered homes, but from 65 to 100 tiles, that's what you're looking at, a small home tier 3. There are micro homes and tiny homes in some of my other builds, so you'll definitely have to check those out and get an idea of what I'm talking about. But you probably know all about that because tiny living is kind of iconic. The premise for these tiny career homes is that you obviously need different skills in different careers to move up that career ladder. Well, I decided to do these homes that they would cater and be kind of stylized, in my personal opinion, towards these careers. For example, if you're a gardener like the last one, you're going to want to have things where you can get your gardening skill up, your flower arranging, those kinds of things. But in a tiny home, you can gain those skills faster in a specific career. However, my reasoning for this one being a tier 3 small home where you don't get skill gain is because as an interior decorator, you don't actually need any skill. It's not required of you. So there are things that you can do for your sim to help you in the career, like having charisma. So building that charisma skill, going to a mirror, all that jazz, and getting that charisma skill up so that way you can talk to Sims a little easier and make friends a little better. The idea with interior decorating is that you're getting to know these Sims' likes and dislikes to decorate that space in their home. Another thing that's suggested is having the observant trait, which will also help your Sims to find out these likes and dislikes a little easier. Once again, those are suggestions. You don't have to do any of that, and you can just thrive in this career, which again is why I decided let's go all out and make this home 100 tiles. It actually stays at 99 tiles, which is perfect. I wanted to make sure that it was spacious because the idea behind this home specifically, with an interior decorator in mind, I wanted it to be very Pinterest-esque. I wanted it to be open, have very neutral colors, just look like something you might see in a magazine. So we're looking at very modern windows and doors with a very classic style house, lots of brick and some siding, paneling, dark roof, that nice contrast. As we get inside, the layout for this house comes a little easier. It is just one story. The second story, the dormer, is just for looks. It's not anything special. I've created this really nice little space where you walk in, you have your bedroom right there, and off to the left is where you're going to have your kitchen, living, and a detached bathroom. I say detached because it's not ensuite. It's not necessarily detached. It's in your house, but you catch my drift. You know what I mean. Also, love, love, love some growing together. While this isn't the main storyline for this house, I love growing together. It's got all those really great gold swatches. They all match really well. You don't have to use gold. It's got like the darker metal swatches as well as some silver gray in there, but just so nice. I knew when I put the layout that this little nook was going to be perfect for a desk, a computer, a little workstation for your sim. And while Dream Home Decorator has the great sectionals that pair together well, I go ahead and stick with the more curved chairs and couch. It felt softer for the space being so small. I honestly thought about throwing another pack in the mix because while Dream Home Decorator comes with its own kitchen cabinet and it comes with two different types, they're not my favorite. They don't look bad. There's nothing wrong with them, but we just have better ones out there. Like Home Chef Hustle. Oh my gosh, that kitchen, unmatched. Love that kitchen set. But it really just took me a minute of playing with this kitchen, trying to decide how this was going to look and what was going to work for it. I even thought about and played around with the idea of closing the kitchen off, but that wasn't the vibe. We're talking Pinterest, we're talking wide open spaces, looks great in a magazine, and closing the kitchen off wasn't going to be it. And I knew that. You just kind of have to play around with the design sometimes. Sometimes it works to close the kitchen off. This time was not it, and I knew it. I decided to go ahead and take off the platform for that potential backyard patio that I was thinking about and use the tiles in the house instead. It allowed me to go ahead and make the kitchen just a little bit bigger so that I could have a nice U-shaped kitchen without it feeling uber cramped. It allowed me to have this little built-in bar area with some bar stools to create the space that just flows easy into the living room. And the house stayed the same. Besides just getting a little bit bigger right there, nothing on the outside really changed. I'm a green girly. You know it. I know you do. If you've seen any of these videos of mine, I talk about it all the time how I love green. And I wanted to use this really pretty green and brown swatch. It made me happy. However, I felt like it was reading Bachelor. It was reading dark. And that's not the vibe here. The vibe is very light, open, nice neutral colors. And so I go in and we change it to this blue swatch for the counters, and the cabinets get a neutral wood. I don't do the blue swatch. I like that breakup. You have a little bit of color down in your counters, and then the cabinets are just neutral. And might I say that the fireplace for Growing Together matches perfectly. Growing Together has a lot of these really nice soft blues, and Dream Home Decorator does as well. So it kind of felt like a match made in heaven, the fact that I paired these two together. They look good together. They go very well. I wanted to create this nice little space when you walk in. So I get this little table from Dream Home Decorator and park it over in that little nook, and we put a mirror on top of it. And I love this mirror right here from Growing Together. So pretty with the braided straw. Gorgeous. I love it. It has blue. I also quite love these bookshelves from Growing Together. There's two different swatches, so immediately it allows you to use them a lot easier than other bookshelves because they automatically don't match. And they have some really great swatches. For the bedroom, it felt like a no-brainer that we would have some sort of built-in closet for this sim. I have used these built-ins a lot of times. I just think it's so fun and so easy to create these unique built-ins. Every one of them looks a little different just depending on what you're doing. Obviously, you can choose the same pieces and make the same one over and over again. but you don't have to. It can be so unique. You can have the bookshelves, you can have hanging clothes, you can have little cubbies and nooks and drawers. And it's just so much fun and so unique to be able to put your hanging clothes in there, pop some shoes in there. It's absolutely customizable every single time. It looks a little different. We use a little swatch board because you have to. Just put it above the desk. Perfect. I knew I wanted a nice focal point above the bed. I end up using these base games, architecture, paintings, pictures, sketches, whatever you want to call them. Love them. I tend to use them a lot. They're very neutral. You can have a black frame, you can have a brown frame. So fun and very on point, on par that this sim who loves interior decor and loves design would have these very nice architectural pictures on their wall. Architect, plans, designs, layout. I don't know. Also, I have to say those bookcases really click well together. They snap well. I'm like, what's the word I'm looking for? They snap well. They just sit perfectly flush with each other. It's so nice. I use the banana leaf motif wallpaper for the living room and the entryway. I think it's really pretty. I love the banana leaf. It's a little out there. It's a little crazy. You can't always use it. However, it's got the really nice neutral swatch, and we use it in the living space for the bedroom, still sticking very neutral, because in my opinion, that's kind of what a Pinterest home is. Very neutral, calm colors. Of course, we're going to use some subway tile in the kitchen, and I also put a little bit in the bedroom as well. Now, I wanted there to be a breakup. I didn't want that subway tile to go all the way to the fireplace. So I stop it right here, one tile after the chairs, and I go ahead and put a column to kind of break up that space, break up that wallpaper. There's not a line of demarcation in the wallpapers, okay? And I go ahead and extend this wall out a little bit. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but I really ended up liking how it looks. It just extended that wall, didn't feel like a cutoff right next to the bookshelves. We add the columns in, and it really helps to separate entry space versus kitchen versus living room with everything still being opened. I know I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again. I'm really making a point to use hanging lights, sconces, and lamps, just trying to utilize everything that we're given in these kits and packs, because I'm such a set it and forget it person. You know that old infomercial, if you know, you know, and if you don't, oh, it's set it and forget it. Okay. And so I'll use the little saucer lights and I'll just place them around, and it's like nothing. They don't matter. I just put them there. They're fine. They work great. They light the room up. But while I'm still going to use saucer lights, getting in here and using lights that come with these packs and kits really makes a difference, especially when you're looking at the design of your home, how everything comes together. These lamps and sconces and hanging lights, they really do make a difference, and they're actually a lot of fun to use. I definitely wanted to have something right when you walk in the door. I thought about putting a little table like you saw, but then it was kind of weird. You're just going to walk into a table? No, you needed something different there. I thought about a bar. It wasn't going to work. So I kind of let that simmer in my brain. What am I going to put right when you walk out? Adding some clutter, some plants, and kind of seeing how that adds to the space and what it inspires. I definitely love adding clutter and just making it a little more homey. I know I said this is a Pinterest home, but it wouldn't be me if there wasn't some random clutter around the house. At a certain point, the house has to feel lived in, right? Even if we're talking about Sims. Also, sorry if I'm a little whited out. I didn't look at the camera. I'm a little washed out. Usually I take time to think about that. I did not tonight. So, sorry if I'm glowing. I'm incredibly white, so it happens. Sorry about that. All right, so hear me out. I sat with it for a while and decided a little bench. That's what is needed out here. Somewhere for your sim to just sit put their shoes on, set something down when they're walking in with a bunch of things in their hand. Obviously, it's a Sims, so that's not going to happen. But that's what needed to be there. So I do put a little bench at the end of their bed, and I also put one right when you walk in the door. And that just felt perfect, like even things out a little bit in a second. But that was really nice, and I'm glad I thought about that. It's just kind of like one of those things that pop in your head, and it just works. Curtains were a mess. Sorry, but I ended up having to alt place curtains because they did not want to clip correctly, snap correctly. But with some alt placing and some maneuvering, we get there in the end. The bathroom was super simple. Of course, I'm using lots of growing together in there, but I go ahead and make my own little shelving unit for your bathroom knickknacks. It felt right. The Dream Home Decorator shelves are just a little too wide and didn't feel good to be there. It just felt too big and bulky. And so I add a little bit of clutter, and then I kind of pull away from the clutter because we don't want it overly cluttered in the bathroom. We just want a little bit of stuff in the bathroom. Like, hey, this is my bathroom. I use this stuff, but also you don't need to see all my toiletries. So we go ahead and put some towels and like a little box shrunk down where you might keep some extra items. At this point, it was time to add extra windows. I know I get a little bit of feedback. I have gotten feedback like, hey, you should really do your windows while you're building the house. And while I agree with that, sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes I would just rather do my windows last because I don't want them to hinder what I'm doing. And I obviously know houses have to have windows, so they get it. But hey, you know what? I actually saw this house in a group where it didn't have any windows, and it was like, it's a privacy home. So they exist, okay? Houses with no windows, they exist. But I do put windows in this house. It's just not like over abundantly window full. Sorry. Anyways, I put the little fork and spoon above the stove, and it's so cute. I like that little touch. I feel like it fits. It would be there. We're cluttering just a little bit, okay? Aprons, a clock, some plants. I don't go overboard in the kitchen. I try and just keep it really simple. At this point, I was feeling really good about the inside of the house and knew it was time to get outside and figure out landscaping for this house. So we go ahead and raise it up a little bit, get a foundation on there, move it back. Obviously, you need your staircase, fencing and railing. I mean, just kind of going through those motions at this point. And I felt like it needed something. So I created a studio. But it doesn't disrupt with the tiny home because it is a fake room. I created 4 walls and built the 4th one separated and pushed it back, like alt placed it back to meet up with the other 3 walls and created this room that's not really a room. It doesn't have actual flooring. There's no foundation to the flooring. And the roof doesn't connect because it's not on a foundation, so I brought it up on a foundation a little bit. It still has no flooring. It's not considered a real room. Put the roof on, drug the roof over, and now I can lower the room back down because I don't want it on a foundation because stairs won't connect to it. They don't see it as you see it. So you lower it back down. And now you've got this little room. I went ahead and put concrete flooring down. Once again, it's not a real floor. It's literally, this is a fake room. But it's so much fun to do, and I haven't done one in a while. I wanted to add, once again, a little bang for my buck, okay? I wanted the extra space. I wanted the sim to have a studio where they could come out here and work on something. Maybe they need to paint something for the house they're working on. Maybe they need to create something with the woodworking table. Maybe they need to come outside and have a drink of juice because they are tired from the day and just are tired of looking at their own 4 walls. Possibly let's throw some darts around. You just never know. I mean, you get off work and sometimes you just need a safe place to go, get some pent up energy out, lounge somewhere and chill or maybe do a little extra work and get that creativity outlet out. Literally, the world is your oyster. And so I created this little studio for this sim without adding any extra tiles to our tiny home. I do put a fan out here because I think it just makes sense. Maybe this little studio isn't air conditioned, so maybe they need a little fan for when they're working out here. I also wanted it to feel somewhat cozy. So we're going to have some curtains. There's no windows on the back. It is literally a box, like a little detached shed almost. But it's going to have cozy elements like a plant and a little planter box. You're going to have a little comfy chair to come out and sit at and just relax. And this space is literally all yours for whatever you need. I never used this little foam thing. It's so cool. Little foam puzzle pieces. We've had them before. You can put them as like kid flooring and pick them up, and they're really cool. And I don't know that I've ever used this before. I just sized it down, and it was kind of awesome to create this little mat that your sim would stand on to paint. I love the way that it turned out, and it helped to kind of take up space in the yard. Just a very fun little room for your sim. You could even end up putting like a Murphy bed out there or something and utilize it as like a guest room almost. It does have a roof. For landscaping, I felt like this sim would want a simpler landscaping. So we kind of just all placed some trees that you find in the environment, sized them up or down, whatever looked best, and just really built this place in. I thought about using these little concrete slabs as a little walkway, but I didn't like how it looked with the little storage shed. Everything would have had to be moved over to make it kind of symmetrical. So instead I go in with terrain paint and create a little pathway from the main walk to the little studio. And I really like the way it looked. So we go ahead and just create a terrain path from the house to the sidewalk to the studio. It all connects and looks really nice. I go ahead and use this smooth keeper. It is that short little fence, and kind of create my own little fenced off landscaping, if you will. I know there's a name for it and it's not coming to me at this current moment in time, but I used some bushes and I really like the way they look. Just basically making this kind of manicured lawn. I really liked the way these bushes looked, but I didn't like them over on this one side. They kind of clipped. They looked just a little weird. I ended up deciding to make this little section a little bit bigger and make almost like a gardened area where this sim has flowers that they potentially plant. I know it's all about the lore because obviously these sims aren't touching any of this landscaping, but it's the thought that counts, right? So I go ahead and place in some grass with some flowers, and then I just go in with a bunch of different shrubs, white flowers, little bushes, ferns, and create this little flower garden off to the side of the house. I've never actually done that before, where it kind of like flip-flop sides. You've got the nice bushes on one side, and then the other side has more of a lush garden. And I really liked the way it looks. Then I'm just going in with some grass around the trees, kind of where you think if you're mowing your lawn, you don't always get up into the trees because they have roots going everywhere. So sometimes you'll see like grass patches around a tree, and that's really what I tried to emulate here. I do put a telescope in the back and a couple of plant pots in case you want to go back out and grow some things outside. It gives you the option. It's not necessary, but I felt like there just needed to be a little something back there. I also decided to put a little awning shrunk down over the studio, and I just really like the way it looks. Added in a little planter box, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of landscaping in front of the studio. Just short, sweet, simple, a little something to bring in that flower garden vibe. But we are basically done with this build, so let's get into these screenshots. I absolutely love the way that this build turned out. It's so cute and quaint, and in my opinion, really gives off interior decorator vibes. Every single thing just looks so open and clean. almost minimal, but not. I'm super happy with the way it turned out, and I hope you like it too. This build is play tested on the gallery, ready and waiting for you if you like it. My EAID is katxthrash, just like the name here on YouTube. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely keep coming back for more. We are in the eyes. Now moving along, our next career is going to be the law career that comes with Discovery University. So that'll be a lot of fun to do. I hope you have a great night wherever you are. Bye, y'all.